Life and death are two processes that complement each other. Although, friends, humanity could develop in a different way if people were striving for self-development and self-improvement. We see with you that many people die in childhood, adolescence, adulthood and old age, and sometimes a person asks to die, wants to die but cannot, and remains to live for certain reasons. Although these processes cannot be called life, but anyway, why do people still die? The first reason is that the death is the opportunity and ability to reboot. If, for example, a person while living a certain life makes many mistakes and does not fulfill the tasks of the soul with which it came and incarnated here, the person leaves this physical life and very soon is born in a new body. And I noticed, observing such people, that in principle, when being born in a new body, a person retains his character, his worldview and outlook, and his self-development and self-realization naturally depend on the state of the family that this person has chosen. Is it possible to slow down death, to stop death? Is it possible not to die at all? It is possible, my friends, but for this you need to have certain states and certain values and skillfully manage your body. What we are seeing with you now is that often the human physical body comes into a worn-out state and the physiological body simply cannot live any longer. It wears itself out. Why? Because there is no certain feeling of the energy of the cellular state of such a person. Body cells wither, die, the body becomes ill, and the person leaves this world. If people were all busy with their development, self-improvement, and managing the energy of which they are a part, people could live much longer. I'll tell you more. In the near future, people who survived quantum changes, people who survived at all, I would even say so, will live much longer. The energetic state of the planet will change. It has already changed, and many scientists are ringing the bells, thinking about what to do next and how to adapt to this new energy state of life. But many people never care or are bothered by this. Many continue to engage in self-destruction and self-annihilation. Of course, these people choose an earthly death, and they will certainly leave this world. But death itself is not a tragedy for a person, for a developing people. This is the ability to reboot, the ability to move on. After all, death as such does not exist, and this has already been proven by modern science. There is no death, there are certain changes, a transition from one state of life to another state of life. And this turnaround depends on how a person lived his life, and that's how it happens. We see this around us. There is already a lot of this information. Death as a process is necessary. It is even necessary, especially in the current state of life. But the longer a person lives, the higher he develops, the more he accomplishes, the longer he can stay here on the dense physical plane. And at the same time, he can learn to manage his life and extend his years of life as much as he wants. But a developed person understands that life is very interesting, and living in this physical material space, he still wants to return to his natural state, and the person wants to die. This is a natural process, the desire to move to another dimension, to another state of life. To do this, it is necessary to achieve a certain greatest and highest awareness, the greatest understanding of the very process of life and incarnation. Therefore, I would like you to have a correct attitude towards both life and death, understanding that this process is simply necessary for every human being at a given time. But the further people live, the more humanity develops, the longer the years of your life will be. Life will be extended for people. And all this was done for the sole purpose of self-improvement and self-development. The human soul goes through 3 stages of its evolution. On the Earth, on this planet, It goes through the stage of evolution of material life. Although having lived here on the material plane, it nevertheless incarnates and goes into incarnation on the subtle plane. Then it again incarnates on the physical space, then leaves this planet, and already in a semi-material state goes through its stage of evolution. And its final stage is life in a spiritual state. But only here does a person understand death, as destruction, which in fact doesn't happen. Modification occurs. So today I would like to recommend that you, the viewers of this video, simply delve deeper into the study of the topic of death, understand what death is, how to learn to manage this process, what you need to do in order to live on, live long, live joyfully, live happily, to live in a state of certain aspiration and understanding that death does not exist.